leather work. Okay, definite yeses and yeses on Instagram. So this is a leather finishing walkthrough. So I've already in the meantime given this 3 applications of Neatsfoot oil to allow me one to do it on camera. So Neatsfoot oil, neat being calf. I think it's boiled down calf's hooves or something. It basically puts cow back into the leather after it's been chemical and leached and tannined and all sorts of stuff to do with the tannery. So it's basically refeeding the leather. So let's do 1 treatment of Neatsfoot oil. Being that there's painting on there, or there could be different colours of dye, it will ever so slightly bleed if you're going across like a real high contrast colour like that. So I have used tan coat to cover that so I won't get much transfer to the different colourings. Okay, so Dauber, Neatsfoot. First time you put it on your first coat, it soaks in quite happily. This has had, say this will be like a 4th one now, so it will be a bit slower than your first coat to sort of soak into the leather through the dye. I'm not worried too much about the edge because that's edge coated, and I've tan coated all the way down through here so I don't get much colour rub backwards and forwards on the actual knife. So inside the sheath is tan coated, and I'm feeding it from the outside because the inside is kind of sealed up so I don't get red rubbing off onto on the knife handle on the way in and out over the years. So that has now been dragged across with a dauber. Like that, and just allow it to sort of permeate, and just the excess now and again, because sometimes you get the lint come off of the dauber, and I don't want that set in the surface of the leather, and then subsequent additional coats then sort of like bed it in. So when I've oiled it, I'm now trying to sort of just even it up, the finish, plus I'm removing the odd micro hairs of lint and wool from the dauber. So the waxes and that come later don't seal the fluff in. All this time, another point to remember is I'm trying to get the oil, I'll be trying to get the wax, I'll be getting the Carnauba down inside those holes on both sides. So, you know, giving it the best chance it can to get down into packing the threads out front and back. As it dries, slowly but surely, now this is the sort of last coat, there ends up more in the tissue than there would be on the surface of the leather. So as that dries there, I just keep putting an extra bit back in rather than waste it left in there. So I'm just evening it all out, and in some cases actually putting more oil back in from what I've removed. So it's just a case of that, really, nothing too special. So it has now got an even coating of the Neatsfoot oil. Without putting it in so aggressively, you're actually making the look of the dye run in any way, so it looks even. Sometimes you can put stripes in by drawing across, a bit like spray painting your dauber with your colours. Be aware that when you Neatsfoot oil, sometimes you'll actually start moving it about a bit, So just keep an eye on it and have a test piece. So it will gather around the belt loop. So, and then forge a little bit between there like that. Because when the door went in, it's a bit like rubbing it on the edge of a pot. You actually get a big drip sometimes down inside the belt loop. So you want to just tidy it up. Yeah, that'll do. So that's all the Neatsfoot's done. Neatsfoot oil of this sheath. That was the 4th time I've done that. So that's Neatsfoot oil. Next thing you will need something like this. I get this from Robert Radcliffe. It's a blend of at least 3 waxes that he does, and to me it's a no-brainer. He's worked it out. He's got his ratios, his blend, he's boiled it all up, put it in a pot, and we get it from Robert. Okay, so it's like Neatsfoot oil now is going to get this blended wax. So the lid goes on, the rag goes back in so it doesn't dry out. Again, I'm not really going to be rubbing on that colour design I have. Okay, I'm feeding the leather from around it rather than the risk of making it get affected adversely. I'm just rubbing it from the centre to the holes, and as it's going in the holes, I'm packing it in the holes. Around the design I did. See it? Yeah. And then picking it out down the bottom, rubbing it down inside, up the spine, and then the back. Back can be a little bit fiddly because you've got a belt loop. You can get your finger and get inside there a bit. Goes up and around. There's that, and then a little bit more. We're packing it down inside the stitching. So that's put the wax on the lever. Hopefully this is all plugged in. Yes. If you get a hot air gun and it's got 2 settings, you'll probably want the higher setting. This one I get from Screwfix is Titan. It's quite nice. It's 3 settings. I use the middle one. So if you use a hot setting, you want to be about this far away because you don't want to burn the leather or melt the thread. So number 2, and you should be able to see it. See it sweating it up. I want it to soak into the leather, and as much as I can get down inside the holes, packing that threading stitch one just about there. You'll get used to it, how it looks, but it sort of sweats up to begin with. Even it up. Over the belt loop's quite good, and then across the back. You'll see it. There's the leg. Off. Put down. Whilst it's still warm, here we go again. So again, working it in. I'm not going to go crazy on the colours. I'm going to go around it, because of course that's tan coat protected so I don't bleed the colours. you're not going to put quite so much on the second coat, I find, because it's already been sort of flooded into the stitching holes. Again, belt loop inside. You start being able to put some shape into the sheath now. You've packed it in with so much stuff. Neatsfoot oil. Now this is the second application of wax. Put some shape into the sheath. Put it on. Thereby putting some shape in it. Again, second speed on this one. Yeah. There it goes. Obviously, that wax going in hot and now cooling, you should retain the radius of the slicker that you've put inside the handle. The next treatment, I use, remember that cloth tissue we might have done on a previous vid where we've wiped off the excess Neatsfoot? I use that again just to save tissue, but it's got a bit of Neatsfoot and nothing too alien, just a different spot on it. And this is Carnauba Creme. Again, whilst it's still got some residual heat from the hot air gun, Carnauba Creme. Double loop. The tissue is actually quite a good one. It's more like a Bounty than a cheap budget store one. And that just stays around as a cloth with a bit of Neatsfoot and Carnauba for later. And that's the first coat of 4 or 5 that I will use. And you can use a tea towel at some point using the with the Carnauba Creme. So what I'm going to do is find my tea towel, just behind the camera. Is this. You see the years and years of old tea towels. So cut up that section, and then this will now be my main Carnauba footer inner cloth. And should there be any excess, you can always remove it using, remember that old tissue that we had that's not got anything too alien in it, just to remove stuff. First couple of coats you don't notice much going on, but as you start building up the Carnauba, it really starts deepening the wouldn't say luster, but it deepens the coats. and I'll see you in sort of like an hour. This is the sort of therapy thing me and leather do. It's coming now, it's coming now. It's sort of 2.5 coats now. Rub and repeat. Thanks for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed that. I'll be the rest of the day, I think, just Carnauba in and planning my next project. But this one can now get risen in levels with additional treatments of Carnauba, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you. 60 minutes and out.